Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another game of CCG. We got Redacted Society versus CCG today in the the again ESEA Advanced League season 51. And from the casting, this is me, Zayn, along with Inflict once again, bringing you guys what has CCG cooked up today, as we saw an amazing victory of CCG in the Ancient previously. But today, my friend Inflict, we are going into a new map, not particularly new map. They have played it once before, but again, this is their second time playing this in this specific tournament. It is going to be a nuke today that we're gonna be seeing. Inflict.
Yeah, this is the second time they're playing. Last time around, they visited this location when they were facing off against EVE Esports. That one didn't exactly pan out in CCG's favor. They got close, and then the scoreline ended up being 13-8, but unfortunately just weren't able to win it out. Now, CCG are back at it against Redacted Society, who are starting on the T side, having won that pistol round as well. They're looking to secure their 7th CCG forced into this one. Now, a little history about Redacted Society. They're currently standing with 6 wins and 5 losses, 11 games played within the regular season already, and are strong contenders. They tend to play new quite a lot, but it's a mix. It's been a mixed result for them with, I believe, 4 wins and 3 losses across the board. So there's a lot of history for them on this map, such as not the case for CCG. So they're going to be sort of starting off on a back foot here, but the second round it's panning out somewhat nice for the time being. They've taken away 2 weapons from the side of Redacted Society, but still the Arsenal heavily favoring RS.
Definitely the bomb being planted here. CCG starting off in the counter-terrorist side, meaning they're gonna have to play on a retake right now inside the side, heavily guarded by Trick and his teammate Third here, who has an AK on their hand against a few SMGs. Not gonna be a big issue, but CCG, it's gonna be a big issue for them. But not if they find the first kill here, but doesn't have enough time to go for a defuse. They're gonna go for straight defuse here, but do they have enough time though? They do not, and they do realize that, trying to grab any guns that they can, but it has already been too late as the timer has reached its limits and they are gonna get the blast off here.
Yeah, a nice attempt from CCG though. They were still able to inflict a lot of economical damage at the very least. Took away all the weapons. Sort of came out on top in that round. Unfortunately, just the time was not in their favor. Had they had a defuse kit, perhaps the outcome would have been slightly different. But now with their backs against the wall in terms of the weaponry that they're working with, this round should be far more easier for the side of Redacted Society, and a perfect chance for them to start building up somewhat of an economy here to work with as well. For the time being, though, the resolve's absolutely abolished for RS. They're going here with a slower approach, not going to get overconfident, although they're pretty aware of the fact that CCG are likely going to have nothing to work with because they invested all of their money already. Beetle, first one to fall. The push is going to start to come in. Icarus finds one crack and follows up, but in the meantime, the two of their fellows have fallen, and Zerd going to be the one that finds the last 2 frags with an SMG, and that's the third round on board.
That is a third round on the board for Redacted Society, having a very beautiful start. That second round, CCG thought they might invest in and try and conquer that on the CT side after losing the pistol round. Did not work out in their favor, even though they did have an advantage. They did play it out good, but at the time wasn't their friend, as they have lost that round. And now finally, after after losing 3 rounds, CCG will have enough to go for a full buy here. Treehan getting that op enabled, that super op perhaps, but it is going to be very hard for them to do anything as the sites have been fully covered in flashes as they enter the site. A pretty well entry taken by the side of terrorists, and now it is going to be one hard retake from CCG's side. Not impossible but not gonna be that easy as well. As Fearless Beetle is gonna be the one who's gonna be finding up, opening up the kill, but CCG knowing that again they're at the time is against them and they don't have much left to deal with, they're just gonna go back and give this round away to the Redacted Society, as they are gonna be going for some saves. As we know, CT side money issue, need guns to win rounds, so they're just gonna go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and that's the fourth on board. CCG still yet to put up their mark, but they're gonna hold on to those three weapons to try and make a dent finally in the following round. But now the economy is starting to look a little bit better on the side of Redacted Society. Sure, it's not entirely pretty, but we are still in the early stages of the half and the game itself. But CCG is still gonna have a good chance of mounting a comeback in this one. The last rounds, it's something that has been quite usual with CCG that's been going wrong, and this being a newer map as well, the readjustments are going to be somewhat difficult for CCG to make in the mid rounds. But them losing those early players, it's gonna cost them again and again. Sure, it's there's only been one rifle round for the time being, but it was pretty. The pattern remains pretty similar to the mistakes that they've made on their prior attempts of winning these games out.
Yep, definitely. Again, a very aggressive rush coming in towards this side, and looks like they're gonna try and open this side again. Throwing a nade will do quite a bit of damage to them, but not nearly enough. Just pushing them out of heaven area constantly with those utilities. Freehand trying to find as much as he can from all the way towards the main. Gonna try to finally go for the rush here. This retake is on, but can they find the retake? Not gonna be able to find Dirty Dan beside the vent, as he takes out the two members just like that. And with that, it's only gonna be down to Treehand, who gets found out outside the garage area, and he's gonna be taken out as well. The op will not be picked up for anybody, but still, it was a kill that was given away.
Yeah, I'm
And
surprised Dirty Dan did not get spotted out by Fearless Beetles there, because it seemingly looked like that he cleared that corner out. Perhaps he didn't go wide enough and just didn't check the corner just as much as maybe he should have, but that costed them big time in that retake. Although their chances were not great, the probability wasn't looking that highly in their favor. But Dirty Dang being allowed to get those two frags there just practically shut the round down. A half investment coming in from the side of CCG into this round is not going to be optimal, but they're going to try and make things somewhat close. They've kept the economy somewhat in check, but it's also starting to build up bit by bit on the other side. So Redacted Society, eventually the dam is going to fall and the water is going to flood in. And the question
yep,
is if CCG are going to be able to hold it off. For the time being, it's a one-on-one trade. And they have been able to successfully do so in the beginning. The mid rounds are sort of where things start to go wrong, and now that the B side has been completely given away, CCG, the go retake is going to be all the more difficult for them to work with given their arsenal.
it is going to be very, very difficult. Once again, another C4 planted all the way towards the B side this time around. So they're going to have to go in and get the retakes, but it's going to be hard as the ramp is completely covered by the terrorist side. But they're not going to go through the ramps, they're going to go all the way to the other side. But looks like it is going to be a decision of saving the guns, the AK that they have picked up, the M4 that they bought on Freehand, and the SMG onto Hype King. But Freehand is just going to be giving away that M4, not going to be able to save that. But he does have enough money on him to go for a buy next round as well. So I don't think that giving away that M4 will really matter that much to him, as now CCG, they are looking like they can go for a full buy, but it is still going to be rough for them to maintain that. They have lost 6 rounds already straight, something that we haven't seen them having before. When they played Nuke last time, if I remember correctly, they they almost had a similar approach. They lost 7 rounds in a row, and then they started making a little bit of comeback into the second half. But they did start at CT, so I guess Nuke is a bit terrorist sided map in my opinion. So we're
Oh,
gonna have to.
I mean,
Oh,
Nuke's probably the most CT-sided map given there is, but the economy certainly it has played a huge factor in how CS2 plays
yeah.
out. Again, it just
It,
punishes
it
you
has
losing
changed a
rounds
bit.
massively. The map, not exactly. The game certainly has, of
Yeah.
course, just before the final update came in, where CS:GO's economy got completely ruined, and such has remained the case ever since. But CCG, they have not been able to capitalize the preferable positioning that the CT side withholds on a map like Nuke right now, and being down 6-0 on the threshold of losing this seventh round as well, given that they have been pushed away from the site yet again, and such has been the case in practically every single round, because they've not been able to deny a bomb plant pretty much any round at all, and that's where things have gone wrong for the most part. The post plants have never worked out, and so CCG, I guess if they want to start making some changes, they have to try and put some early resistance on. They have managed to find a couple of trades repeatedly in early rounds, but uh, w- they need to test it out and see if they can do so in the mid rounds as well.
They need to test it out and find out if they can or not. Behan constantly getting pressured all the way over there. It's gonna be found out. Some
It seems like the game may have disconnected on our end, but we're gonna wait and see if the what exactly is going on. Hopefully that gets sorted out quickly. But CCG now down by 7. This is not looking good whatsoever. Uh, I mean, they've had slow starts before. Mounting comebacks has not been their strong suit, and the one game that they have recently won was practically a blowout from their end, where they absolutely demolished the other side. But a slow start like this, it's been a rare case for CCG to be able to mount a comeback and then deal some damage. But we're gonna have to wait and see if they're able to do so as we head back into the game with CCG now. Again, being down 7 rounds, the economy still just not being allowed to build up at all. Of course, since they're not winning rounds, any money that they have has practically been off of the is quite literally been off of those extra about those loss bonuses and some weapons that they tend to save over. But if they constantly buy up into these rounds now, their utility is going to be quite lackluster, and they just cannot afford to do that. So they're going to have to start gambling a little bit if they want less utility or to throw away rounds with just pistols. So they need to either start winning rounds, or they need to be decisive about or they need to decide what readjustments to make very quickly.
Yep, definitely. Because you can't be giving away that many rounds. It's gonna be really, really tough. Dirty Dan is found out, so the enemy off being taken care of. One thing that CCG is falling behind in, I would say, is those utilities constantly being used by redundant society. They're just using those pop flashes to take entries to the site, using pop flashes to take peeks around the corners, and those pop flashes are being quite um, heavy on CCG's players. And Freehand finds an amazing headshot with the op when Trick tried to go inside the ventilation. Maybe if he did get inside the ventilation, he would have had a lot of map access, but he was denied right on right there. And CCG are able to find their very first round on this nuke map. I feel like they're still not that far behind if they can actually get something. If they can get like 4 more rounds on the first half, then they have a very decent chance of coming back on the terrorist side, as they have won. And once again, I'm gonna say this: they have won quite a bit of round on the terrorist side on this map and on any other map, if that matters. Even though they start out with CT every single time, they're most likely to lose a round on CT than in T side, according to the records that shows me on our previous few days of games.
So our approach this time by Redacted Society, not as proactive. They're trying to gain information. They've sustained a little bit of damage, especially Hunter. I believe a nade connected onto him, but they're making CCG curious, and that curiosity may just get The better off RS. Beetle already finding one. It's a slow play. They're really taking their time with this, but CCG,
A very slow play.
they're not letting this get to their head either. Perhaps the idea here could be from RS that they wanted CCG to investigate a little bit, but the patience here, absolutely phenomenal.
But CCG patience is going to be working out in their favor as they have taken out every single member of the side from CCG. And with that, we are going into the 10th round. But CCG, they have stabilized a bit in terms of economy. A quick rush coming in, perhaps to the side of the society. But this time around, CCG, they're well aware and well prepared. Unlike other times, all members down. A quick gunfight went rogue, and it is only down to Raven boss right now. But Treehan, he does have a good positioning. If he wants to take him down,
Ooh.
a quick reaction onto him. A headshot was found as Raven Boss going to be taken out, and CCG securing the third round on the first half. Even though they looked really, really bad, I feel like they do have a decent chance of winning those last two rounds going into the second half, and I feel like they have a really better chance of making a comeback happen in in this map.
And that's 3 rounds on board. Likely looking at a fourth here as well, given that they're facing off against just pistols. The economy that Redacted Society had built up, having won those 7 rounds, now completely vanished. Across the board, they're relying on just 2k money, 2k dollars in the bank, but it's not gonna help them get out of this round. They have found a frag, an initial trade, so that can be quite beneficial, but Freehand gonna keep the odds in CCG's favor as he gets two and Icarus to help him out. They shut everybody down all on their own, and that's the fourth round on board in quick succession. A nice little comeback being mounted here as we head into the last round of the first half.
And last round on the first half does not look to be going in the favor of Redacted Society, but CCG, they're well prepared. They have all the economy to buy everything they ever wanted, and gonna buy a quick few extra flashes down on the spawn to for freehand there, unlimited resources of flashes he has there, as so he can take a peek as much as he wants from outside. As for the others, they have gotten themselves everything that they want as well. And freehand, it's gonna be the one who's gonna be finding out the first blood outside, taking out Hunter through the smoke. A pretty well connected shot for him there. He actually kind of veers off away from the position, but he will be able to get that back as every other member from the side of um, Reductive Society has been taken out. So it's all down to Raven Boss, who is gonna have to be the raid boss right now to take care of all of the members from CCG if they want to win this round. But I think this round will be won by, will be taken away by CCG, which means we are going to a 7-5 half. I At first it was looking really bad, losing 7 rounds straight, but then winning 5 rounds after that, one after another, just puts us in a better position. So I'm feeling a lot more confident going into the second half. How do you feel about this scoreline? Like,
I mean, I wouldn't particularly say that it's a great scoreline. Again, the CT Nuke is a heavily CT sided map, but given the start that CCG had, they certainly wouldn't be feeling bad about it either. They should be satisfied because they readjusted accordingly. Sure, it took some time. Sure, they have a 2 round disadvantage, but nothing that they cannot overcome just behind the pistol round victory right here. But the pistol round victory is going to be something that they need to achieve before, though. And on the T side, of course, the economy isn't as punishing, and if uh, history is to remain consistent, they tend to do somewhat better on the CT side, but generally speaking, it hasn't really mattered that much, given that they've just been able to close some rounds out inconsistently and not consecutively, which has resulted in so many losses so far, unfortunately, for the time being. But once again, losing two players already to kick things off. Make that four. Hunter, he's gotten a 3K, looking for the final 1-3 and barely surviving for the time being. And he will get shut down. A 4K from Hunter just from the same position. That's going to be quite lethal and not the start that CCG were hoping for.
Yeah, that stair position is very, very cheeky angle. You gotta be 100% precise and accurate with your bullet there. If not, you're not gonna find that head because the only thing that's gonna pop out there is a head. And if you're not able to shoot that head, he's gonna take care of every single one of you. As you saw, the USP being a menace over there, finding those one taps and connecting those headshots and bullets marking all over the place as he finds 4K to wrap that round up. Another bad start in the second half for CCG, losing that pistol round. They did not buy anything on the second round, unlike in the CT side where we saw them forcefully buying and trying something. In in the terrorist side, they're not going to take much risk as they go for it on eco, not even a legal bot from anybody that round. That means they're going to try and play for kills right now, try to get as many frags as they possibly can to hurt the economy of Redacted Society and possibly go for their full buy next round and try it from next round. But it should be a pretty quick round from CCG, just trying to get as much as they can. But if they can win this eco round, that's going to be the game changer for them.
Highly doubtful though, but
Highly unlikely.
it would turn things around quite well. And indeed, they would get some free weapons, but it's a hypothetical situation, honestly, which is not going to turn out well if they decide to rush through where they seemingly intend on doing so. There's two weapons prepared to shut this down, and they wouldn't hesitate for a second to knock those heads off. CCG, they weren't able to get any frags or got to put them on that time around, so now they're going to get punished. There's two, there's three kills, and well, there's going to be more to come in CCG again. Another round that comes to conclusion, and that's going to be ninth on board. Some real dangerous territory here, as CCG are now just four rounds away from losing their eighth game.
Yep, and that was a very quick round. I mean, they were able to find one or two frags out there, so that round wasn't necessarily a complete waste. So we're gonna have to see and find out if CCG can win this round that they have bought, like they have a full buy on. But it is gonna be very tough, uh, really, to actually go ahead and do anything as we have a timeout called in from CCG's side. With the timeout, they were able to discuss a few things, what was going wrong in their favor, and perhaps they're going to be able to sort those out pretty soon as we are heading on to the next round here right now.
Yeah, they're in some really dangerous territory now, though. They lose this round, they'd be up against double digits then, and they again don't have any economy to work with. These slow starts into both of these halves can be quite punishing to CCG, and they do not have as many opportunity to make mistakes and learn from them. They need to start winning, and they need to start doing so quickly.
They definitely do here at CCG, quite heavily guarded out by all of the members of terrorist side here. Kraken gets found out, Hype King immediately taking the trade, making sure that the damage that was inflicted on them is not too much. The site has been entered. Here's the deal. Gonna be able to find one, and it's gonna be immediately taken out. Hype King gets taken out as well by Raven there. That makes it a 2 versus 3, but it's only three hand equalizes the score, making it 2 versus 2. But still, the site has not been opened up. The C4 is dropped on the ground, so they're gonna have to fight for the C4 here. Dirt is holding the high ground here. So they're not going to be able to take an entry. Raven takes out Icarus, and Freehand is going to be taken out as well by Raven as Zerd just kills his teammate.
Yeah, it may have been a mistake. It probably was a mistake actually, but still, then it's economical damage at best. But at a time where they do not have anybody to work with, it could be crucial later down the line. But for the time being, it shouldn't be a problem since CCG they don't have much money in the bank themselves, and that this is exactly the situation that I was talking about earlier. With their backs against the wall, they likely are looking at an 11-5 scoreline here as well. Icarus now dealing some damage onto himself, should go down quickly and does by the hands of Trick. Hunter follows up, and now they're looking for more. The shots missed, the USPs come out, but they're not going to thrive in getting those frags. Instead, it's going to be Beetle that shuts that player down, but Hunter keeping the rhythm going in favor of Redacted Society, and now with only one player remaining, this game, this round is pretty much coming to conclusion, and that this should be just the 11th round confirmed, and there it is, a nice little stack to finish things off. And now CCG is just 2 rounds away from conceding another loss after coming off of a very hot victory on Ancient last game.
Yeah, that is, we were not expecting that because I feel like CCG they're performing well. It's just that the nuke map is not quite their forte. The playstyle that they've been adapting to, I feel like that playstyle, the playstyle that we saw in the ancient, does not really work out that well in the nuke map. Nuke map is very complicated, um very like as you mentioned previously from CS:GO's days. It's pretty one-sided map, but then again, since the game has changed, the sides have been changed. A lot of things have been changed in the map, but CCG are not looking really good to adapt to all of those in Nuke, as it feels like as of right now. Redacted Society have gotten the upper hand over them, but CCG still has one more round as a life aid if they want to stay alive in this game, but it's not going to be possible if they keep losing tracks like the Xataris. It takes the trade though, keeping them alive. 3v3 situation right now. They still have the C4 on hand if they want to try and open any sites, but this flank from Hunter might just be crucial. If not found out, it just might deal a lot of damage though. Hunter being very cheeky, taking it back all the way towards spawn. This Hunter is closing in on to Treehan right now. Treehan gets found out that Up was taken out of the equation pretty early on, and Hunter he's gonna get away with it, but it doesn't matter. The C4 has been planted, and now the retake situation is on from the side of CTs. They gotta take it, but CCG, they're both playing from the same position. Gonna be finding out immediately, taking the fight, and Kraken saves the day at the very end. A very nice recoil control, spray control coming in from his AK-47, finding 2 headshots and securing the game, securing the round on CCG's favor. You got to remember one of the things in M4 right now, it has lesser bullets, so you're most likely to run out of bullets when you're fighting off against an AK-47.
Yeah, but you could just hit headshots. Unfortunately, such was not the case for the player on the side of Redacted Society, but they still aren't going to be too demoralized. They still have a 5 round lead and they can practically taste the victory at this point. CCG's economy is still struggling, and if they lose this right now, it would be one heck of a way to conclude things out because they do not have any loss bonuses built up anymore. They just won a round, so their loss bonus has gone down to zero, and they do not have reserves to work with either. This round, CCG have to win. They have to keep this going. On the other
If
hand,
they do, it's going to be a few extra rounds following up after that.
slower approach this time around. Again, CCG, they've taken their time with this, but now the push comes down. They're hitting the A site. A lot of presence around, and unfortunately, two players have already fallen. Freehan trying to equalize things out is good for one. Fearless people to follow up. It's 3 versus 3. Timing works out in Raven Boss's favor as he gets two before going down, and Trick with the MP9 up close and personal to shut Icarus down. The trades work out in favor. Raven Boss getting that 2K changed the whole game right there towards the conclusion, and now only one more round needed. And what was feared has happened. No money for CCG to work with. They have been able to purchase a couple of rifles, but the rest are gonna have to work with just Mactans. But they have a good amount of utility to work with, so it's not a completely shabby buy, but it's far worse than what Redacted Society have to work with.
Yep, definitely. It is quite possible to take the round. You gotta remember, Nuke is a very short-sighted map unless you're taking the fight outside. If you're fighting inside the building, then very short-sighted map. So SMGs are as vital as a rifle in this map. You're not gonna be taking that long of a duel if you're taking a fight. Fearless Beetle going inside with an amazing flash from Hype King, gonna be able to find one, gonna be able to find
Oh
two, but
no.
immediately after that, Dirty Dan with flash up is
Oh.
gonna be able to take out two. I don't know how. Don't ask me that question, but he was able to take out two. Fearless Beetle, the last person alive, with just the Mac 10 on hand. USP is gonna be more than enough to get a headshot on top of him and secure the deal and the game for CCG here on out in Nuke. Again, 13-6, similar scoreline that we've seen them have before, as they have lost yet another Nuke and on a similar scoreline.
Yeah, quite an unfortunate way to go. I'm still surprised by the fact that Dirty Dan was able to live for so long along those silos, but he just was playing around with his food practically. They knew the game had come to a conclusion, even though the round started out quite heavily in favor of CCG. They were able to find those couple of frags to begin with, but the trades just were quite efficient. The team played quite on board, but now CCG have handed their eighth loss. It's looking like playoffs might be a myth for them at this point, but they still have at the very least three more games to be played. The next one is going to be played tomorrow, which is going to be against Alter Iron Club. Perhaps we're looking for a different scoreline, maybe a new map being tested out for them as well. But CCG, they have shown some improvements across the board. They weren't able to pull these comebacks out like they did in the first half, where they were able to find the last five rounds of it and sort of mount a momentum comeback in there, but unfortunately just can keep that rolling into the second half. So it was a nice attempt after all, but that was all she wrote for the day with CCG and perhaps their hopes for the playoffs as well. But the season is not entirely done. We again are gonna have some more games. So we will be seeing you tomorrow, 9 p.m. EST, CCG versus Alter Iron Club. So make sure you do tune in for that. But until then, this is gonna be goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. So have a good night.